must have put this pan into here, no joke, about 10 times. Every time I put it in and flush it, there's a stream of water coming out the bottom. I've never ever fitted one of these before. When I got it out of the box, I was like, what the hell is this? It is a Dyson airblade wash and dry. So that is the tap that sits obviously in there when we've got a leak coming out the bottom of the cistern. Now, for some reason, these torpedo siphons are an absolute nightmare. Because we're about embracing it, I'm gonna put a little bit around here. People will come for me, I'm sure. I think we have.
Now, look. We've got a leak.
Right, we're back today at this office job that I've got going on where there's offices, meeting rooms, convention rooms, and we've put a couple of toilets in, a couple of kitchenettes in. So it's coming to sort of the end of it now. The boys have been sweeping up, cleaning up in here. There's only a few little bits left to do. I think in the last video, we got all the basins on. So what I've got left is the waste on the cistern and urinal. We've got that to sort out. I think this one's all done in here. Yeah, this one's all done. And then down in this kitchenette, the last time I think we was here, we connected the cooker tap and the macerator. We've now got the hole through the granite worktop because that hadn't been put in. The socket, so many people commented on the socket being underneath the sink, how low it was. Electricians have lifted it up, so we can now get the plugs in it, all right. So we've got this to test. Hasn't been turned on yet. They've been waiting for me to come back now that there's power at that socket. And then I'll take you upstairs and show you what we've got up there. So then what we've got up here is this little kitchenette sink unit to connect up. Everything's there. Waste, hot and colds. Might be interesting. And then we've got the floating toilet to go on there, push button. That's quite cool, that is. Just sort of set off the wall a little bit. There we go. Hopefully we get all these little bits finished today. I know there's some other little bits you've got to get done, non-plumbing related. But for now, we'll concentrate and start off with that urinal downstairs. Right, we're going to start off with connecting up this urinal. Dead straightforward. The waste has only come with a crappy little ring, foam ring, that's split. So I'm going to pop that waste in there, use a bit of BT1 just to seal it in, seal underneath, and then we can come off with a bottle trap and drop straight down into that waste. Yeah, sometimes there's just no getting around it at all. You've got to silicone a waste in. So we use some BT1, which is very much like just a normal silicone. And I'll just pop that in there. Give it a twist just to make sure it's spread around everywhere. Then what I'll do is put a little bead underneath here, like so. Get the nut on, and then once we've got it tightened up, we can just wipe off any excess, and then we're good to go. We'll let it set. There we go. So then we'll just wipe up any of the excess silicone. Make sure all the gaps are filled around that nut. Make sure the thread's all clean. And then just the same with the top one. Just push that in. Make sure it's gone all the way around. Just give that a wipe over and that's done. Then all we've got to do now is get the trap on the bottom, like so. Street elbow, straight down into the waste. So with that all done, I've now made up the bottle trap. We've got a street elbow on there. I've cut the bit of pipe to suit the length. So if we screw that into position, like so, what it's going to do is come down like that. It's not great, there's no header on this, so as I said before, we didn't first fix, or I didn't first fix this job, and that's where it's come out. But the urinal's been centered off the wall, so it is what it is when it comes to this. Whether they're gonna, I think they're gonna put some sort of box in along the bottom of there, I don't know. But we can only work to what we've got on this. So we'll get this cut down there, and then pop our elbow on there, and that'll be the waste on this urinal done. We can then get the systemizer fired up and give it a test. But while that's going off, we can go and test that kitchen sink, finally get the cooker boiling tap up and running, and then we can come back in here when it's all set and give this a test. So let's get this cut off. Where's my cutters? Let's get this cut off and connected up. So what I'll do is get this glued into this elbow first, coming off the bottom of the trap. Pop it in, give it a twist, make sure the writing that comes printed onto the pipe is sitting at the back so we can't see it. We can give that a wipe down in a minute, and then we'll get this elbow popped on here. Like so. And then you can get this connected up and into place. Bit of glue on there. Bit of glue internally on the elbow. Pop that in. There we go, get the waste trap tightened on the bottom of the urinal. Make sure that's tight. And always make sure the bottom bits are tight. So there we go, that's as neat as we're going to get it. As I say, that box it. We'll let that go off now. Go and have a look at that kitchen sink, come back and give this a test. I've just dropped into this kitchen unit just to make sure everything's all right with this. We've finally been able to turn the cooker tap on and the macerator on. So what you need to do with the cooker tap is run it through. What I always do is just leave the taps open for a good 10 minutes to completely flush that cylinder out. Then once that's done, you can allow it to heat up as it is doing now. So 2 pushes on the tap, turn it on, and then that will be, I'm not putting my hand under it, just take my word for it, it's boiling water coming out of there. You can probably see the steam rising up from it. So we know the cooker tap's up and running, that's all good. And the same in the macerator, it's all plumbed in. If we hit the button, you can hear the macerator running as well. Or some people have said to me in the comments, it's not a macerator, it's an insinkerator. So yeah, the technical thing is, the company is insinkerator, but it's technically an under-sink macerator. So we've got that running, we've got the cooker tap running. That's the little kitchenette ticked off. What we're going to do now, test the urinal, make sure that's all right, and then we can go upstairs and finish off up there. So with that kitchen on now, that's that ticked off. All the other bathrooms downstairs are ticked off. We've just got to get this up and running. So what we've got on here is a systemizer. When you turn the water on to these high-level cisterns, you put a systemizer on there. So in theory, if someone comes in here, opens the tap, or flushes the toilet, or any fluctuation in the close proximity of the water, it will have a movement. It's got a movement detector inside here that will sense that the water's being used, and it will then just put in, I think you can set it, I think it's something like 5, it will run for 5 seconds. So over the period of however many people are using this room in here, it will begin to fill the cistern up. Then when it gets to a certain point, it will drop out and obviously empty the urinal. So what we'll do, first of all, is get this turned on, and hopefully it's going to be working all right. So there you go. So I've just turned that on. So in theory the water's there onto the systemizer. If we just open the cold tap on here, so right, I don't know if you can hear or even see in there, the water is now just passing through here and beginning to top this system up. However, we've got a leak coming out the bottom of the cistern. Now, I've had this before with these. For some reason, these torpedo siphons are an absolute nightmare. So, obviously we're going to have the cistern off, reseal this up. I don't think I put any silicone on this because I was hoping the washer was going to do it. But what we're going to have to do then is take this off, take the torpedo washer out, reseal it. We've got some silicone here that we did the waste on the Urinal with, and then get that on. So let's get the water off, whip the cistern off, and get that sealed up. But it's real world plumbing, so always a little leak to take care of somewhere. I'll hold my hands up to this one. Didn't silicone it, should have siliconed it, because I know them torpedoes are a pain in the arse. Right, let's get this siphon out and I'll show you what I mean, because they are a bit of a pain. So you've got washer on the inside, obviously, and a washer on the outside. What I'm going to do is dry this off, put a load of BT1 around there, washer on, more BT1, pop it in, and then sit. Look at the size of that gap all the way around there. It's massive, so I'm just going to fill that and then get another washer on. It's not the most ideal way of doing it, but these can be a right pain. So let's get it dried off. Get it sealed up. Right then, with it all dried off, let's put a bead of BT1 around here. And the good thing with BT1 is it will go off even if there's a little bit of water on it. So we'll get the washer on, just spin that round, and then just put a bit more on it where it's going to go inside the cistern. I'd rather put a little bit more than a little bit less, to be honest. Let's get that in, like so, and then what I'm going to do is fill that gap because it's a massive gap, and that's what causes the issue half the time. And we'll pop our washer on, and then pop our nut back on. In fact, what I'm going to do, because we're bout and bracing it, I'm going to put a little bit around here. People will come for me, I'm sure, but I would rather it not leak. And these are renowned for leaking, so I'm doing what I've got to do on this occasion. I can clean that all up. Give that a little tighten up. Make sure it's covered everywhere, and then we'll leave it to set. Right, just to confirm what I've done there, next time you see a urinal set up in a toilet or anything like that, check the cistern at the top, and I near enough guarantee you it will be leaking from this part. So remember what I've said, it's about my words, trust me, that's why you've got to silicone these ones up. I thought I might have got away with it, but clearly I didn't. So we'll let that go off, reconnect it all there, and finally get it tested. So then I've come upstairs to begin fitting the tap and waste into the top floor, into this sink unit here. Now, you would assume, I've often said should never assume, you'd assume it's just a normal tap going in there and a normal waste. Oh no. We've got, I've never ever fitted one of these before, so I'm going to have to stand and read the instructions and see what's what with it, because when I got it out of the box I was like, what the hell is this? It is a Dyson airblade wash and dry. So that is the tap that sits obviously in there. You get hot and cold coming out of it, but you've also got two sort of hand drying aqua blades as well that come out of it. I've never, ever fitted anything like this before. Came in this box. This is the blower unit. You have a feed going into it. Now what we've got to do, because we've got hot and colds under here, we've got to get a thermostatic mixing valve to put the hot and colds into, then off there, into there, so that when it comes out the tap, it's obviously blended hot water and cold water. So I've got to read through all of these instructions here. You ain't just seen nothing like it. That's the instruction booklet, as well as that one. Through these diagrams. So yeah, wish me luck with that. What I'm going to do is do a complete standalone video on it, on the Dyson airblade, because I've never done one before. I think it might be interesting, and I'm sure you'll all be quite interested in how something like that is going to work on something like that. So anyway, that's enough of that one. We're going to drop onto the toilet now, because that needs to go in, and that's stop play for today, because we need to pick up a load of bits. So let me get the toilet and the push button for this, and we can get this connected up. So we've moved on now to fit this floating pan in this little toilet area. Now what I've done, I've just trimmed back these pipes here. I've measured from the edge of the pan, which is here, internally to where the pipes are going to go, and then measured that off the finish of the tile there. I think that one's 40mm and the saw pipe's 50mm. So we've got that done. We've also got to screw on the fittings that go on them threaded bars, because once you've got your pan connector on there, your flush cone in there, and this is all set, inside here is where these two threaded bars and these brackets will sit. Now it's got a little bit of a cutout on there, because internally, they're hard to explain because they're already set in, but internally there's a Allen key screw that screws in there and clamps down onto that, and then this one is going to sit that side as well. It's quite fiddly to try and explain it, but you've basically got one shot. Once you've made all that lot up, you're going to lift the pan up, push it into position like so, and then get your Allen keys in the side and bolt it down into there. Now, floating pans aren't my favourite thing to fit at all. I really don't enjoy doing them. So I'm going to film what I can, but it's just, A, this room's quite tight, and B, I don't enjoy doing it, so no doubt, no my luck, it's going to be an absolute pain. But that's the pretense of it. Let's see what we can do. And then for the push button, sorry, you just trim this cage back, and then the button just clips on the front with your two air hoses. Its water's on up to this little valve here, so we should be good to go with that. But yeah, they're never fun to do, to be honest. Right, let's get these fittings made onto there, and then offer the pan up, and hopefully it'll go on in one fell swoop, but no my luck, probably not going to. So the first one I'm going to try is by pushing the flush cone onto the flush pipe like that, and then I think what I'll do is put, I mean this is quite a pain to get on, make sure that's properly lubricated in there, and push it into position onto the saw pipe. So let's get this in like that. I'd love to be able to just push it all in one go and it all work out fine, but with these fittings you've got to measure off this back wall here to the exact point there, which is going to be from this point there to that point there, so we need to make sure they are spot on as well. And it is 70mm to the centre of that, so we're going to have to undo this threaded bar slightly. Right. So we've got to get 70mm from the tile to that bit where it's going to sit in, this little ridge here. There we go. We've set the other one up now. There we go. Sorted. So those two are set to 70mm from the tile to the centre of here. Right, let's get the pan on now, and hopefully it will all lock into place in one go. Right, I think we might have got it. I just hope that the flush pipe and the pan connector have gone in as well. It felt like they had. So then with that finally in, I absolutely hate doing these. You've got to push them in while trying to connect the bolts in the side. It's just an absolute nightmare. So it's in, hopefully the pan connector and the flush pipe are in enough to not leak. That's the only problem with them, is when you're pushing them in, you never quite know. So let's turn on, if we can get the screwdriver in. Let's turn on the cold feed to it and see what happens. So obviously we've got our air hoses here. If you blow down one of them, it will open the valve up and allow water into there. So that's what I'm going to do. And hopefully, I've got nothing coming out underneath. However, I think we have. I think we may have, unless that's just a little bit of water. Can't really tell.
Nah, look. We've got a leak. Out it comes.
So I've had it out and I've got it back in again. Put a little cloth underneath it just to see if it can catch anything. What I think the flush cone has done is pulled slightly as I pushed it in. So let's give it another go. So that will fill it up. I hope it works. I hate these fans so much. So that's filled it up. Let's pull that out. It's looking dry at the minute. Let's pop that back there. Just because with that microfiber cloth there, if we flush it, if it's leaking, that's going to hopefully dry up a load of the water. We've got the aquavac and that here anyway, somewhere. We've got the aquavac here anyway, but that will just soak up the majority of the water. Right, that's the system filled again. Let's give it a flush. Don't know if you can see under there. I can't. Looks fairly dry. Possibly. Let's give it a few more flushes and we'll see if that has worked. Hopefully, touch wood. So I must have put this pan into here about 10 times, no joke, about 10 times. Every time I put it in and flush it, there's a stream of water coming out the bottom. I've tried different pan connectors, I've tried different flush connectors. When you push it back, you can feel it bite on. So I just took the pan out and thought, let's check underneath. Now, I don't know if you can make this out. There's a huge crack all around the inside where the flush pipe is. Now, it seems to be when it's flushed. The only thing I can think of is that pan is cracked along that line there. I could just see a massive gap in it all the way around. So the amount of times I've had that in and out, probably 8 times, it's got to be something to do with that. So I'm going to go and have a word with Scott and show him, because I've never seen anything like that before. It should all be sealed. If you see down in that corner there, along that line, that's how it should be sealed. The back of it, there's just huge gaps in the actual mould itself. So I'm gonna, there you go, I think you can see it there, look, there, just there, huge massive gaps in the mould, in the casting. That has been doing my head in. It's got to be what it is. I've had it in about 8 times, no joke, 8, 9 times, and every time it's leaking. So it's got to be that, it must be, can't be anything else. So I'm going to ask them to get another pan, just for my own peace of mind. Right, after that absolute nightmare upstairs with that toilet, it's given us time for this cistern to have gone off. So, if we turn the water back onto it, like so, and hopefully this one is not going to leak. It's been a day, honestly, of leaks. Started off with this, and that bloody toilet. So, as I said to you, this is off at the minute. We open the cold tap up, the fluctuation in water. I don't know if you can hear it, it's going to make that. He's going to open the systemizer up and fill up. If you can make it out. Just shut off it. He's going to fill up this cistern. And then once this is filled up above the level of the torpedo siphon, it will let out the contents of that cistern into the urinal, flush it away. Hopefully there's no leaks underneath there, because the way today's going, it probably will do. So let's just wait for it to fill up. There we go. There we go, finally. So what it's doing now is just dropping all the water inside that cistern, and once that's run through, it'll just shut off again, and then as the taps are being open, closed, predominantly here, but also it does pick up a little bit of movement elsewhere, it will slowly fill that cistern back up. And when it gets to slowly fill that cistern back up, then when it gets to a certain height, the torpedo siphon, you just let it go again. So at least that's working. Just got that toilet upstairs to sort out at some point.